This is modern Tokyo, a landscape of neon light and high-speed commerce. It is the visual evidence of a nation deeply integrated into the global economy. Millions of visitors arrive here every year, drawn to its technology and culture. To a modern observer, Japan appears to be a society defined by total openness. Yet for over 2 centuries, between the 1600s and the 1850s, these borders were firmly closed. Foreigners were barred from entry, and Japanese citizens were forbidden from leaving under penalty of death. How does a society make the transition from a sealed medieval fortress to a modernized global powerhouse? Japan's trajectory reveals a distinct pattern: long intervals of rigid self-preservation, followed by bursts of radical adaptation to the outside world. The first major swing occurred as early settlers imported agriculture and metalworking from the mainland. By the 6th century, Japan was actively adopting Buddhism and a centralized political system modeled on the Chinese imperial court. But as the court in Kyoto grew increasingly focused on its own grandiose internal politics, it neglected the governance of the provinces. Central authority over the land began to slip. This neglect created a vacuum. Power decentralized into the hands of noble elites and regional warrior clans, giving rise to a feudal system where strength was now measured by the military might of the samurai. In 1192, Minamoto no Yoritomo secured the title of shogun, or great general. He established a military government in Kamakura, far from the Kyoto court, effectively stripping the emperor of political power. The shift marked the end of Japan's early experiment with civilian imperial rule. For the next 700 years, the country would be defined by a parallel system, where the emperor remained a symbolic figure, while a military dictator held the actual reins of the state. That military order was disrupted in 1543, when Portuguese traders arrived, bringing 2 items that would reshape the archipelago: Christianity and European muskets. Warlords immediately recognized the tactical advantage of these new firearms. By 1556, hundreds of thousands of muskets were being deployed in the civil wars to violently unify the country. Once unification was achieved, the Tokugawa shogunate moved to eliminate foreign influence to prevent colonial interference. They outlawed Christianity and enacted the policy of Sakoku, cutting off almost all trade with the West. This began the Edo period, a 268-year era of isolation. Behind closed borders, the population doubled and a domestic economy flourished, producing the iconic art and cultural traditions that define Japan's heritage. Isolation created a unified, cohesive culture, but it also meant Japan missed the global technological leap of the Industrial Revolution. While the West built steam engines and factories, Japan's military technology remained largely frozen in the 17th century. This is Commodore Matthew Perry. Arriving in Edo Bay in 1853, he demanded trade, backed by the threat of modern naval artillery. The shogunate realized their traditional forces were defenseless against industrial weaponry. Their capitulation to Perry's demands sparked a fierce rebellion among southern samurai, who viewed the shogun as weak. By 1868, the shogunate collapsed. The young Emperor Meiji was restored to supreme power, signaling the start of a period of total societal transformation. The Meiji Restoration abandoned isolation for rapid modernization. The government hired Western experts to build railways and telegraph lines, while the military was reorganized using latest European tactics and technology. Japan avoided colonization by essentially re-engineering itself. By downloading Western industrial and military systems, the nation transformed from a feudal society into a modern state in less than 40 years. This new military might allowed Japan to defeat China in 1895 and Russia in 1905. For the first time in the modern era, an Asian power had defeated a Western one, fueling aspirations for a vast overseas empire. Throughout the 1930s, nationalist sentiment within the military pushed Japan into further territorial acquisitions on the Chinese mainland. In response, the United States imposed severe economic sanctions to halt the expansion. To secure their gains and break the sanctions, Japanese leaders launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. This photograph captures the scale of the strike that drew the United States into the Second World War. The ensuing conflict devastated the nation. It ended only after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki led to Japan's first-ever total surrender to a foreign power. The attempt to project power through colonial aggression resulted in the near-total destruction of Japan's infrastructure and the dismantling of its government. Under the occupation led by General Douglas MacArthur, the military was disbanded and the emperor's divine status was disavowed. A new democratic constitution was established. No longer able to pursue military expansion, Japan shifted its focus toward capital development. The same work ethic that had built the Meiji military was now directed toward industry and global trade. This shift triggered an economic surge. By prioritizing electronics and automobile manufacturing, Japan's economy surpassed its pre-war levels by 1955. The Shinkansen bullet train became the hallmark of this rebirth. By 1968, Japan had emerged as the world's second-largest capitalist economy, rebuilt from the ruins of war in just over 2 decades. Japan's current standing is the result of these historical cycles, periods of extreme self-reliance, followed by a capacity to radically reorganize every pillar of its society to meet a changing world.